Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of DLT's Business Cast. Today, I'm joined by Jeff again, AVP of our freight sales, and we're going to talk a little bit more about DL Freight and some of the interesting enhancements that we have included as part of our newest release on the enhanced accessorial solution and carrier bidding that is now available through DL Freight. To start off with, Jeff's just going to go through a little bit more about our product, just kind of refresh everyone's memory of what we offer as part of DL Freight, and then I'll go into a little bit more about the details of our new enhancements. Let me go to the next slide here, and over to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Shailen. And to just to give a quick update from the last time, we did talk about how you can utilize DL Freight really to be a catalyst to drive blockchain change and do it in a profitable manner with your supply chain. So really, you're starting off organizing the group and your trading partners, doing a pilot, and from there, after the successful pilot, moving on to implementation and then rollout. And really what you're driving for is that transparency, lower freight costs, traceability, as well as sustainability within your supply chain. Okay. So there's been a number of different blockchain opportunities that have been done in the past where there has been a lot of work and effort put forward, but unfortunately it hasn't really been sustainable and moved forward. And it really does come down to picking the right place to start. And blockchain technology itself really does shine in multi-party cross-enterprise use cases, and obviously freight is a great example of that. And it's even stronger if you're working in areas where there's certification and a lot of compliance needed. And the track and trace side is really critical, especially when it comes to freight, but also if it's provenance and luxury goods and other materials. And as things move forward, the way to really drive those benefits is by looking at the contracts and invoicing process, and it allows you to automate the creation of your invoices through the use of smart contracts. And once you get freight up and running on the blockchain, it really allows you to capture all that sustainability information, not as a separate task, but it can become actually part of or a byproduct of the process that you're utilizing on the blockchain. And when you certify the parties and products for trade facilitation, that allows you to then start moving outside your traditional trading partners to work with other parties that to you were unknown, but because they are certified, both the products as well as the suppliers, you can feel more confident in that. The other point I'll make on it too is that everything that we do currently is focused on private multi-enterprise blockchain. And there's been a lot of industry analysts who have come forward and say they don't think blockchain is ready, but really what they're talking about is the public blockchain, not the private blockchain. We and other parties have been utilizing it now for more than 3 years with Walmart Canada and a very large group of their carriers. But when it comes down to it and looking at all the different applications that I just talked about, where does it really make sense to start to ensure the success? And what we've found from experience is that that's within freight. Okay, next slide, please. And the reason that we say that is that ROI is the driver once you get your platform up and running to allow you to build on that with some of the other functions we described. And the ROI potential that we've seen from the freight side is roughly the estimation we use is if you take 5% of your total freight spend, that is really the opportunity that's out there for you. And the reason that is there is the amount of friction that currently exists within the freight world and the freight environment with disputed invoices. And the number that we've sourced is that $155 billion of invoices are being disputed on any given day. So we're talking, significant work effort with people at both ends, at both the shipper and the carrier, trying to sort through these problems, when really there is a way to resolve that out of the gate. The payment processing, 95% of the cost of that is actually the information. And by using a blockchain in the way that we've configured it, allows you to radically improve that entire process. The administration effort overall, when it comes to contracts, invoicing, and obviously disputes, the number that has been put forward in industry is about 20% of the cost of transportation is required for the administration process. And last but not least is delayed payments are estimated to be about 40% of them are past due at any given time. So again, significant friction, significant opportunity to improve. Next one. So. And the interesting thing is whenever I've been involved in innovation projects, you can always take a system and automate a manual process, and I guess that has its benefits. But really, what we're talking about here is, what you see in front of you is the traditional or typical 11-step process that goes through from when a shipment is tendered and the bill of lading all the way through to when an invoice is paid. And really, what we've been able to do is re-engineer that process and eliminate 6 of those steps. And through that, if you push it to the next slide, we've been able to streamline that into a 5-step process. And I mean, that really, and what facilitates that is the smart contract. It automatically introduces or creates the invoice from all the known information. And then what happens is that invoice actually travels with the shipment and it captures any of the activities that happen. So whether it's IoT, whether it's temperature changes, etc. It also has the opportunity and makes it possible to capture accessorials as they happen and even have them approved. And then ultimately, once everything is complete, in a very rapid manner, the shipper, or sorry, the carrier can generate that invoice, and they're generating it from a shared version of the truth that is available to both the carrier and the shipper. And so the payment can then be facilitated much more quickly. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shaylin, who's now going to share with us some of the updates on our accessorial and processing.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. So I'm going to start with the enhanced accessorial solution and what we've been able to provide to DL Freight. And our objective here was to make the reporting of accessorials much easier and to build in certain mechanisms so that we can reduce duplication and incorrect manual data entry as well. So the very first thing is that now we have basically a one-stop shop for invoice processing. What that means is that we are collecting the data directly from the TMS or the tendering system that is providing us information so that the accessorial can be pre-built for your needs and for your easy reporting, so you don't have to enter search ticket numbers or specific charges or anything of that nature. What we're doing is we're actually kind of predicting that accessorials charge and essentially automating it onto your invoice already. There is very minimal information you need to input to validate those accessorials as well. And I'll go into a second in my next slide of what that process looks like. So very first thing, basically, it's a three-step process. The first is the accessorial event obviously occurs, and then it's submitted. However, what you need to do is now, all you need to do is enter in, like, for example, the arrival date, and if that can be collected from like an IoT sensor, then that's one less data entry. Of course, the date, say, for example, if a trailer was empty, and the chargeable units. Everything else as part of the accessorial is taken from the load information directly and processed by DL Freight. So what we're trying to reduce is the amount of manual input that is required to actually add an accessorial. Of course, the validation and the processing of it, all automated. And that's the last step there. So based on the outcome of our logic, what we're going to basically do is add that accessorial and tie it back to your load ID. That's also very critical outside of the invoice. If you need metrics to assess accessorials when they were inputted, you can actually tie it right back to your load ID if you're using an existing ERP system, or you're always more than welcome to use DL Freight. So what does this mean for our customers? Well, we've targeted a few of the accessorials that we saw were the main accessorials, including wait time, demurrage, layover, redeliveries, miscellaneous, and of course, vehicle en route. Now, those are the key ones that we've targeted as part of our first release. However, we will be including other accessorials right away. And now we can, like I said, automatically write to your invoice as well and including your ERP system. So again, if you're using the DLT platform, great. But if you're not, as we understand, some may not or have an existing ERP system, we can write back to that, giving you more visibility into your accessorials as you're logging them and as they're being paid. The next feature is on bidding management. And this is really a new functionality that we're very excited about because what we're essentially allowing is for bids and lane rates to be submitted into DL Freight. And therefore, the whole bidding process can be managed directly in DL Freight. So it's simplifying the process and the transparency over lane bids, the communication around that. We're removing the whole email communication because you can do that directly in the platform. And therefore, after you've gone through this process of bid management, of course, the execution of that automatically reflected on your invoice, you have an audit history of it, and you can even define new special rates as well. So if you have a specific spot rate that you want to define on the platform, you can do so, and you can now execute that to whomever you want to from a carrier perspective so that you can go through that bidding process, finalize on that, have the shipment occur, have the invoice created, all on a unified platform on TL Freight. How does that work? So basically, it's four tiers here. So the first, basically, we're starting with the where. So you obviously define the lane ID here. The how is basically how it's going to be executed, whether it be ground, TL, LTL, it's a single shipment, rail, double, whatever that may be. We build those transits in the platform as well. Of course, you have a sequence, who's going to basically be getting these bids between different carriers, multiple carriers, and we tie in the charge ID to specific carrier as well. So these four verticals allow us to visibly add a bid, process that bid management, and then go straight into invoicing, sorry, the shipment of it, and then of course invoicing as well, inclusive on the DL Freight platform. So this is a quick update on terms of two new features that we've provided within DL Freight. And I think what we would like to do in the future sessions is actually show that how to do that. And we will be doing some live demos. But of course, if you want to understand this for your business, please reach out to us at any time. And what we can do is provide a straight demo to your organization and the benefits for your organization. Jeff, let's break here. Do we have any questions that may have come in?
Yep. Yeah, there's actually a few that have come in.
Right.
So the first one is, will DL Freight expand to include other accessorials in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we just started with what we saw with the main accessorials, but we're always open to adding other accessorials, and we do have a pipeline in terms of some that we will be adding as well, and also enhancing even the wait time. So we've concentrated more on the core accessorials that we're processing right now as well. Also, different categories of miscellaneous as well.
Okay. The second one that came in is, when spot bids are placed, can I edit a bid after it has been submitted?
Yeah, for sure. That's the whole point, and we wanted to provide a lot of flexibility as well. So obviously, best practices, once it's executed, not to have that, but we understand errors happen. Also, part of the platform is it's always continuously learning as well. So eventually, what we'll be able to do is automate those bids as well, based on metrics that you've done in the past as well. But at any time, if you need to edit it, that's completely fine. And okay, again, I want to really emphasize the audit history as well. You'll be able to trace that back.
Excellent. Okay, and I think there's just one more question. Is there a limit on the number of submissions we can make to a single tender?
Unless you specify in the platform, we can have thresholds basically. So the answer is that's up to your imagination. So we obviously don't want to leave it unlimited, but yes, we can put limits into the platform so that you can basically limit the amount of people that are, submitting or the times you're submitting. Obviously, you want just one submission as well, but that's one of the benefits of the DealFreight platform. It's highly customizable that we can put those rules into the platform relatively quick, simply.
Excellent.
All right.
All right.
All right, well, that was just a quick update on what we're doing with the Freight. Like I said, if anytime you want to reach out and understand more, we're more than happy to have individual calls, and we'll continue to do these business casts to educate and provide demonstrations coming up.
Great.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.